need to use less effort and more smarts defensively. What you really want in defense is 100% focus. You want 100% effort all the time. That should be your baseline. Every time you step on the court, that should be your baseline foundation for your game, 100% effort. But you need 100% focus and discipline to be a good defensive player, and that's what Shane Battier has. He's a smart guy defensively, so it makes him an even better defensive player. He has long arms, he blocks shots, he gets deflections, because he sees the game defensively. And having him bring those smarts to the offense and the defense is going to do nothing but help that team in this new offense. And in the point guard position, they have Rafer Alston, who was a knucklehead. I actually didn't know he was that much of a knucklehead. I spoke to one of my friends and wanted to have him as a guest on our Fantasy League show. He said, Rafer Alston has always been a knucklehead, even when he was in high school. I didn't know that. This guy's gotten in trouble twice this summer. He had charges pending, and then he did something else stupid. I don't like having guys like that on my team, quite frankly. But on the court, Rafer seems to have a good head on his shoulders, and he runs the team pretty well. He's good defensively. He can hit the outside shot. He's a decent passer at the point guard position. He's going to start for the Rockets this year, apparently, and Mike James is going to come off the bench, and Mike James is dangerous. Mike James is not a natural point guard, however. More of a shooter, more of a third guard type of guy. But he can knock down the outside shot. He plays super defense. He's a good guy to have on your team. Of course, you have the great Tracy McGrady, and Tracy McGrady can maybe stay healthy again this year. I shouldn't say again, but because sometimes his back starts to act up, he has to sit out. But if he's there in the playoffs, that's all that matters. If he's there every day during the regular season, you're going to see big things from the Rockets. I believe in the second half of the year when Luis Scola gets his feet wet in the NBA. In the first half, he's going to struggle. Scola's going to struggle in the first half of the year because he's going to foul a lot. And European basketball, they foul a lot of people. NBA players had a hard time getting used to that too. They do a lot of moving picks, and they do a lot of grabbing and holding and things of that nature in the lane. And Scola's going to have to get used to that, as well as getting used to the overall speed of the game. But because he's such an aggressive player, and usually aggressive players are confident players, because of that, I think in the second half of the season he's going to be primed to go. Maybe the second half of the season. But in any case, Tracy McGrady's health is, of course, always a concern for the Rockets. Steve Francis sitting on the end of their bench, if he's still there, provides some insurance for them if Tracy McGrady goes down. He's not as good as Tracy McGrady, but he's still a guy who is at the shooting guard position, very dangerous offensively, and a good insurance policy to have if your primary scorer goes down. However, Steve Francis found out today he's not going to be part of the rotation. It wasn't today, actually. A couple days ago, he found out he's not going to be part of the rotation. He didn't seem too happy about it. He alluded to the fact that he might be looking at his options, getting off of that team. But I don't know what he was thinking about when he signed on with them. I don't know if he thought his reputation alone was going to put him in a rotation. Maybe he thought Bonzi Wells wasn't going to play as well as he has, because Bonzi Wells, playing under Rick Adelman again, he seems revitalized. He's also in a contract year. We talk about that a lot. Players in contract years. Bonzi Wells did not flourish that well under Jeff Van Gundy. He didn't flourish at all under Jeff Van Gundy. They had a tumultuous relationship all year long. But Bonzi Wells is still a player. The guy can score in the post. He can hit the outside shot on a consistent basis. He's not a great outside shooter, but I wouldn't leave him open out there too much. And he's a tremendous rebounder at that position, so he can be your primary backup small forward, I think. So, and he can also play with Tracy McGrady as well, which gives you a decently big lineup on the perimeter. I think Bonzi Wells having a better season this year is another key addition, even though he's been on the team, a key addition to the Rockets this year. Also, the one problem I have with the Rockets, I don't know if it's a big problem, is the fact that they have so many guards. Luther Head last year played well. Luther Head is not a natural point guard, but he's a point guard size player. I don't see a whole lot of time for Luther Head this year. He's going to play some now that Steve Francis is out of the rotation. You got to assume that Luther Head is going to take the bulk of the backup two-guard minutes. But having Mike James around is going to eat off Luther Head's plate a little bit too. So I don't see the same season from Luther Head, but having a three-point shooter like that around is going to be pretty good for the Houston Rockets. I don't know if he's going to be a malcontent. I'm pretty sure, we'll check in a little while, I'm pretty sure that Luther Head might be a free agent this year. guys in free agent years who are not playing. Actually, he's not. No, he signed. He signed through next year. He has a team option next year. This typically, the point I want to make, typically players who are in contract years and who aren't playing have a real hard time sitting on the bench because their livelihood is at stake. You have to be fair. Their livelihood is at stake. They don't get a chance to play. Then they go into that off season and they get less money if they get a contract offer at all. But the head is signed. We'll see what kind of role the head has in the team last year. They also have a guy in Chuck Hayes, and Chuck Hayes is a guy, to me, who's underrated as a player. He got a chance to play a lot at the power forward position last year. He's not a great guy, but to have him come off the bench and spell Luis Scola is pretty good because he's a pretty good rebounder at that position. But they really need Scola. To me, they really need Scola to be good offensively and be a big part of this team for them to have any great success come playoff time. If they get anything from Scola in the regular season on a consistent basis, they're going to have a good regular season record. They're going to be in the top 5, maybe top 4 in the Western Conference. If they get anything from Scola, if Scola struggles too much during the year, I think they're going to start to lose some games, even though they're strong on the perimeter. I think they're going to lose some games in the Western Conference because that offense needs Luis Scola. Chuck Hayes is not the same player at the power forward position. Also with the Rockets, what they're going to do in the playoffs when they face teams that are super quick. You know, Scola and Ming are kind of small at that position. So, kind of big and slow at that position. So when they're playing teams like the Phoenix Suns and Golden State, if they face these teams in the playoffs, they're going to really struggle defensively. So I don't see Houston going that deep in the playoffs. I don't see them getting out of the Western Conference, and it's always going to be a problem for them as long as Yao Ming is the center. And they're gonna, in the half court, they might be able to offset, you know, what his deficiencies are on the defensive end. But in the playoffs, teams like Phoenix Suns, they know how to force the issue. Golden State, they know how to force the issue. So I think as long as Ming is around, they're going to have trouble when there are teams like the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors in the Western Conference. But you know, that could be wrong there. Houston is going to have a nice season this year. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to have a nice little run. They're going to give some Houston Rockets fans some hope. But I really do think that next year might be their year to really make noise because Scola is going to be a factor. I talked about Scola in the San Antonio Spurs and how the San Antonio Spurs drafted Scola when I was talking about how you could find some gems in the draft and to continue to draft poorly. To me, it's inexcusable for teams. The San Antonio Spurs found Scola in the draft. Everyone knew how good Scola was. But, you know, trading Scola away, I believe, for the Spurs was a ridiculous move. But you might almost have to say they're crazy like a fox. You know, they traded Scola away, and they also traded Jackie Butler, which was a poor signing for Popovich. I think Popovich might have signed Jackie Butler. He signed him to a multi-year deal off his season with the Knicks and Larry Brown's last season. Jackie Butler was getting more playing time than Eddie Curry. Larry Brown really liked him. He was really good around the rim, but didn't do much else. But he was a hard-working player, deserved to be in the league. And then one of Larry Brown's best friends, Popovich, signs Butler that offseason to a multi-year deal. And you knew that Butler was good enough defensively to play for Popovich. It was a very odd signing. And then Popovich trades Scola and Butler to Houston for Spinopoulos. I believe that's how you say his name, a point guard who claimed that he wasn't going to play in the NBA as long as he's going to sit on the bench. He's going to go back to Europe. They trade for this guard who had actually come out before the trade and said he wasn't going to play in the NBA this year. And it was basically a salary cap move so they can sign Ime Udoka. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. But to trade a talent like Scola away, just to give him away for salary cap space, to sign a player like Ime Udoka, you know, Udoka's a good player. He was a good insurance policy for them. I believe Udoka is going to help them in a year or so when Finley is gone. Finley's a big part of what they do. But Luis Scola is so good, you know, I understand that they couldn't keep Scola playing him alongside. Maybe they didn't think he would play well alongside Tim Duncan, but to give players away, I understand they have a small window and they're trying to take advantage of it every single year, but I was really annoyed by that trade by Popovich. But how can you really question what he's done? He runs that organization so well. But anyway, Scola is now in Houston, and he's going to make the San Antonio Spurs pay over the next couple of years. I think Houston Rockets made a great deal acquiring him. They got him for nothing, and he's going to yield great benefits. Good luck this year, Houston fans. You're going to have a good season.